Good day everyone. Today I will be discussing one of the most complex and intriguing characters in Philippine literature, Simon from El Filibusterismo. Unlike in No Limit Tangere, where he was known as Crisostomo Ibarra, a hopeful reformist, Simon has now transformed into a mysterious and vengeful figure. His actions and plan shapes the entire story, revealing a dark but thought-provoking message about revolution and change. Let's dive into his journey and uncover his true motives. Simon is actually Crisostomo Ibarra in disguise. After surviving the events of Nolo Me Tangere, he faked his death and fled the Philippines. Now he returned as a wealthy jeweler, using his riches and influence to execute a grand plan, one that revolves around revenge and revolutions. He hides behind his power and connections, but deep inside, he is a man consumed by pain and anger. So Basilio and Simon's encounter. One day while Basilius visiting his mother's grave, witnessed a mysterious figure digging. As he observes clearly, he realizes that it is Simon, the wealthy jeweler known for his connections with the Spanish authorities. However, what shocks Basilio the most is that Simon is not just any man. He is actually Crisostomo Ibarra, the man everyone believed to be dead. So this revelation is crucial because it confirms Basilio's suspicions and unravels the mystery surrounding Simon's true identity. Ibarra, who was once an idealistic reformist in No Limit Tangere, has now returned under a new name filled with vengeance against the Spanish. So this moment also marks the beginning of Simon's attempt to recruit Basilio into his revolutionary plans. Basilio's recognition of Simon signifies a deeper understanding of the injustice in their society. However, unlike Simon, who seeks revenge, Basilio still holds on to the hope of progress through education and personal success rather than violent rebellion. This contrast between their perspective highlights of one of the novel's central conflicts, the struggle between reform and revolution. So, Simon's view on Spanish regime. Simon, the alter ego of Crisostomo Ibarra in El Filibusterismo, holds a deeply negative and vengeful view of the Spanish regime. Unlike his past self, who once believed in peaceful reforms, Simon now sees the colonial government as the corrupt, oppressive, and beyond redemption. His perspective is shaped by his own experience of betrayal, injustice, and the brutal treatment of Filipinos under Spanish rule. He believes that the only way to achieve true freedom is through violent revolutions. So for Simon, the Spanish government has systematically humiliated and enslaved the Filipino people for centuries, making them weak and submissive. He criticizes those who passively accept their suffering, whom he mocks for aspiring only to peaceful life rather than fighting for the true liberation. So, proprium humani ingenis odicicem laeceres. It is a human nature to hate those whom you have injured. So, Simon uses this quote to explain why Spanish officials, despite enriching themselves in the Philippines, still slander and despise Filipinos. He believes that oppressors develop hatred toward their victims to justify their actions and ease their guilt. Simon's ultimate goal is not just to overthrow the Spanish authorities but to create widespread chaos that would awaken the Filipino people from their oppressions. His belief is that suffering will push them to revolt as he sees no hope in gradual reforms or peaceful negotiations. So his radical stance serves as a sharp contrast to those who still hope for change through education, diplomacy, and making him one of the most complex and tragic figures in the novel. So this Simon's planning or Simon's plan. Simon, the mysterious and powerful jeweler in El Filibusterismo, is not just an ordinary businessman. Behind this wealth and influence lies a man with a dark purpose, such as revenge. So unlike idealistic Ibarra of No Limit Tangere, Simon has returned to the Philippines with a different mission to incite chaos and overthrow the Spanish government. But how does he plan to achieve this? First is encouraging corruption and tyranny. Simon influences the Spanish officials to become more oppressive, hoping that this will push the Filipino people to revolt. Second is manipulating the powerful. He uses his wealth and influence to manipulate key figures, including the Governor General itself. Third is secret organizing a revolution. His ultimate goal is to overthrow the government and take revenge on those who caused his downfall. Number 4 is the failed bombing at the wedding. Simon's plans to detonate the bomb hidden in the lamp at a high society wedding to start the revolution, but ultimately his plan fails. So with his plans ruined, Simon is left defeated and hunted by the authorities. He flees to Padre Florentino, where he finally reflects on his actions. In his final moment, he admits that revenge and violence have only brought more suffering. He realized that real change cannot be forced through bloodshed. It, it must come through knowledge, unity, and through enlightenment. In the end, he takes poison to avoid capture, choosing to die rather than face the consequences of his failed revolution. And so the Simon story comes to a tragic end. His dreams of vengeance unfulfilled. His revolutions crash. As he takes his final breath, he leaves behind a lesson that hatred and violence only lead to more sufferings. His treasure sinks into the sea just as his plans fade into oblivion. With this, we close the chapter on Simon, the man consumed by revenge, yet ultimately defeated by the very system he sought to destroy. Thank you for listening, and I hope this story leaves us all reflecting on the true path to change.